Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Photo Memoirs. It's Don here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my own photographs. So I've been doing the reviews lately, where I take some of your photography, some of the photography that you submitted to be reviewed, and I go through and I share some of my tips, some of my thoughts on how I think the photos could be improved. And I hope this is motivating, and I hope this is very helpful for you. Today we don't have anything that was submitted recently, so be sure that if you're out photographing on the weekend or yesterday or today, and you've gone out and done your thing, you've worked on your practice, you've worked on your craft. Uh, be sure you can submit those photographs to me, and I'm going to include them in this week's videos. So be sure to do that. But for now, since we don't have any recently submitted photographs, I all the photographs that were submitted I already covered in the previous video, so you can also go back and check that out. But for now, I'm up to date with those submitted photographs, so I'm going to be sharing some of my own with you. So just randomly, not really current, but back in April, I took these photographs, and I haven't really shared these photographs yet on any social media, I think, or pretty much anywhere. So this is maybe the first time I'm sharing these particular images, and we'll just kind of take a look and see what we think. So here, I went to Lotteria, which is a fast food burger restaurant in South Korea. Very, very famous, probably the most popular franchise, at least, I don't know, like maybe outside of McDonald's or the Western brands. So, um, yeah, I just stopped by, grab a bite, but I noticed this scene. They had this, you know, area that was kind of separated by this red sheet of glass. And so we had this kind of situation where I was sitting on one side, and then, it's just room for this one or two tables that are in there. And then the people were all there just kind of enjoying their lunch and talking with each other. So, of course, while I'm waiting for my food, I'm taking the opportunity. If you look closely here, you can see my reflection on the glass. But I was looking at these people interacting here. I, if you're familiar with my work, you notice that I do a lot of high contrast black and white images, and that's my jam. That's what I love. But when you have such beautiful colors uh, in some type of scenes, you have to go with the color, and so that's what I did here. Like this would be looking completely different in black and white. So I kept this in color, and of course, I feel that my color is not the greatest. I need to improve when I'm photographing with color, but also when I'm editing color, I feel I have areas that I need to improve in. But I still, uh, when I have images that are needing color, I'm trying to work on that. So if you have tips for working and editing with color, feel free to let me know your thoughts and let me know what your tips would be. One thing that I can say is, when you have a scene, right, and you have the opportunity is you don't have to take only one photograph, right? You can take multiple photographs. You can, spend more time. You can adjust your settings. You can spend more time and try to capture the scene a little bit more. Wait for a different expression. Look for different moments that you can capture. As you can see, I've done that here. I took a first photograph. Okay, now let's check the settings here. Of course, I'm working with a Canon 6D Mark II with my 35 millimeter prime lens, and the exposure settings I have is an aperture 8, one 160th of a second shutter speed, and an ISO of 1600. So, just very dark inside, but also I want to, capture a longer depth of field. And so I have my camera still set at f8, and then I just used a higher ISO. You can see here that f8 ISO is the same, and what I've adjusted is my shutter speed. I brought that down to 1/50th of a second. So now, of course, we got a much brighter image. And you can see me here right there in the reflection. It's kind of a Vivian Myers type of thing. She has a lot of photographs. She's a famous photographer who her work was all discovered after she already had passed, and a guy, he purchased a storage locker and then discovered a whole bunch of her images, and then after that, her work kind of went out to the world, which is really interesting. But a lot of the images that she has a lot of with the old style camera where she's looking at some glass reflection and she's taking a self portrait. And so sometimes I also like to do that. Okay, I'm in the photograph. Okay, let's do this kind of photograph. uh, but of course, the reason why I like this is like the expressions on the faces. I just really thought I captured an interesting moment, although it's also kind of a self-portrait with me in the reflection. Next. Okay, it's just same thing. Just this one is a little bit lopsided. I should have adjusted that. This one's better. Okay, yeah, same scene, same settings, just a couple moments later. Just looking for the nice time. Yeah, and I love working with glass or stuff like that where you get all these cool reflections, and although it can be tricky at times, it's also really, really interesting to see what you can kind of get when you play around with that. The same day, very different photograph, just outside, walking on the street. If I were to give myself some critiques, right? I generally think it's best to avoid kind of this overlapping type of thing. But still, I'm not too off put with this image, right? So maybe not the image that I would put out there on social media or publish as my best work or anything like that, but I was happy enough with it to still edit it and you know go through and just keep it in my own personal files. Just the couple there pushing child, but he looks a little old to a child. Maybe he's the grandpa or something, or maybe he's not. I could be mistaken completely. Let's continue on here. So I have a little series that I kind of do on my own, and that is what I call Seoul Wired collection. So when I came to Korea, I noticed that compared to what I was used to, I found that these telephone wires are kind of just everywhere, all over the place, and no logical order, or you know, and so I kind of, when I have the time and I'm out and I'm kind of looking, and then I see the wires, and then I go ahead and I practice framing it and seeing how creative I can get and how I can kind of capture the image. And so this is one of those photographs. I was out and about, and with it, I like to capture the poles, the telephone poles, and the web of wires, but also I'll also generally include a lot of the buildings that are around there. And um, I don't think it's super amazing or super special. I just is something that I noticed when I came to Korea, and so I thought it was just an interesting little project. It doesn't take a lot of thought into it, but I get creative, when I go out and I'll usually spend a good amount of time working on this project when I'm out and about with my camera, and I just feel it makes me a little bit more creative. It gets me, trying to observe things in a different way, and then, how can I kind of frame this and how can I capture it? And when you're looking straight up into the sky and you're trying to figure that out, and it takes a whole new skill set, I think, to do it and to do it nicely. And of course, I'm still learning and learning and learning. So hopefully these also get better over time. And then other people, oh, okay, maybe that's cool. Maybe other people could feel that way. I'm not sure if other people do or would think that of these images, or just think it's kind of a mundane thing, which is also possible. I'm not sure. But just for me, it's a creative challenge. And I think just kind of documenting what you feel and what you think, when you go to a different place, and then, you just observe everything, just absolutely everything around you, you know, down, up, left, right, just everything, just observe. And then the things that stick out to you, that stand out to you, I think going ahead and, photographing that, I think that's just a really good idea. So yeah, this is my image there. You can see here, f8, 1/200th of a second. I know that some of you have asked and some of you are curious about my settings, and so here it is for you. I'm sharing that with you today. And so ISO 400 with this image, and then yeah, I'm still using the Canon 60 Mark II with the 35mm prime. It's not a zoom lens. I generally don't work with a zoom lens, although I know that, that ability to, you know bring it closer or back is very, very convenient. I kind of just have that extra challenge for myself, which is using the prime, and then I like kind of a wider view. So that's just my thing. Of course, that's going to differ with all different photographers. My settings, all manual, right? I'll set it, how I feel, and then I'll adjust it as needed, throughout the day or throughout the scene. Okay, yeah. There's a guy there walking through the street. He's got his hat. He's got a cigarette. Again, not an amazing image. I'm not sure if I would, really publish this out there, but it's just one of the photos, one of the many photos that I took during the day. And at the time when I was editing it, I thought, okay, uh, I felt, okay, at least it's worthy to be edited. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Again, I'm not sure. Still, uh, I often struggle with, what photographs should I publish, which photographs should I not publish, and of course, uh, like if I have an amazing image that I feel like this is really, really good, of course, I'll go ahead and I'll publish it out there. But I have a lot of images that are, well, like I think pretty decent, but not like so great that I would publish it. But still, you know, and then of course there's going to be there's hundreds and hundreds of other photographs that didn't even make the cut for my editing. So today you're not even seeing those; you're just seeing what made the cut for editing. This image, I really, really love this image. I think this is a really good image of keeper. So I was, walking and I was exploring, and then, you can tell that I got really low to photograph this woman here. Uh, Back in April, right? The coronavirus is still going strong, so uh, we had to be careful. I was also wearing my mask, and then she was, people outside mostly. especially in Korea, are still wearing masks even today. So, of course, even though this woman is just outside her home, she has her mask on, right? And then what I noticed in Korea is that there are many elderly men and women that will go around and they'll collect boxes. They collect boxes and they gather them, put them together, and then they'll take them and they'll sell them. And this is a way for some of the elderly population to still do some work and earn a little bit of money. But the amount of money that they get for this work is very, very, very little actually. So even if they collect like a huge load of boxes, they might only get, five, maybe $10 if it's like a really big load for all of the work. And so it's kind of a sad kind of thing in Korea, you know. Um, uh, and they might do it for different reasons. Maybe they need the money, or maybe for some of them, they just want to keep busy with something. It gives them something to do, which in that case, it's great. But on the other side, if it's out of uh, an essential need, and they're not able to really make ends meet, that's kind of a really uh, difficult thing, I think. But this is going towards also another project that I'm doing, and I will publish that. And I think I'll include this image as well. And then I think that series is, I'm going to just name it Boxes. And it's that story, it's that kind of documentary about that type of uh, issue in South Korea. Okay, so I really love this image. I think I did really good. It's really difficult to judge your own photographs and say, what's good and what's not, because you're emotionally connected to the image. So it's really, really hard to say, even if I love it, I can feel like so emotional about an image. I really, really love it. But on the technical side, it might be that that image is actually not that great. So it's sometimes very difficult to judge your own work. And starting out, that's one of the, somebody asked me the questions, what is something that you wish you knew when you first started photography? Well, that's one thing that I wish I knew and I understand earlier, is that the way you view your own work, you're going to view, most people will view their work way better than what their work actually is. They'll view it way better. And that's because, right, there's this whole emotional attachment to photographs, right? The entire backstory, the whole story behind, you know taking the photograph, how you took the photograph, maybe the whole day, the whole afternoon, the whole morning leading up to the point where you took that photograph. You have all of the effort that went into doing that photograph. You knew what it took, how you got creative and how you framed the image, and then you captured it at that exact moment, and then you were so excited and so proud of doing that. You have this whole emotional experience, and so to you, and because of that experience, to you it might feel just absolutely incredible, and that's something you can be so proud of. And then sometimes that same image, other people will look at the image and they'll be like, "Mm, I don't really think, like, what is this?" Right? And so that's something. Um, and so even when we judge our own images, we have to kind of try to put aside that emotional, side of the story, and really evaluate the image based off of other technical things. But definitely, that thing that I would want any photographer to learn is to also take advice, take what other people are saying about your work, take the advice, and don't be too offended by it, right? So of course, if somebody's like really rude and "Hey, that's garbage" or something like that, then of course it can be offensive. But if it's not that, if it's you know if they're not being really aggressive, they're not being kind of mean about it, right? If they're trying to just give advice or criticism in a kind of a positive way, in order to help you, I think any criticism you can learn from anybody about your work, about your images, even if those people are not photographers, right? Even if the person that gave that criticism or made that comment, even if they are not photographers, you should think about their advice or think about their comment on your work, because you know we take photographs not for photographers, right? Photography is capturing life and moments, but it's not shown to photographers. It's something that we want to show, right? Just general people, anyone in general can view our images, and how an image makes people feel or a group of people feel is way more important than impressing some photographer with some type of fascinating skill set that you have. And so I would just say, take any kind of critiques or any comments about your work from anybody, not only photographers, but from anybody, right? You can ask your wife, or you can ask your husband, or you can ask your children, or you can, if you're younger, you can ask your parents, ask your friends, you know, even offline, right? Not only on social media or whatnot, but offline, ask people around you what they think of your work, and uh, accept criticism, accept negative comments, even uh, you know, even from those people. You don't know what you're talking about. No, you're not a photographer, so you don't understand. You know, I think that's a wrong mindset to have. You have to kind of accept it. Okay, oh well, if my friend or somebody looked at my image and they thought, well, that's not like special. That what is that? If you got that reaction, maybe you can think about a little bit more. Okay, really, does this photograph really catch attention, or does this photograph really tell the story that I want to tell? Or is that story kind of only in my own mind and not the story that people will get when they look at the image? And I think that is very difficult to do. It's a very big challenge, but I think it's an important one to be able to grow as a photographer. And if you're passionate and you're very enthusiastic, you really want to improve in your photography, I think that is crucial, and that's very important, maybe the most important step that you need to make. And I think it's also the hardest thing to do, and even something that all photographers struggle at times with, including myself. I'm still learning and learning and learning and getting better at this point as well. So something to kind of know about and try to think about. My images, I like to sometimes I'll ask my wife. She's not into photography. She likes images or not, right? But I'll ask her, what do you think of the image? And then sometimes, yeah, answers I get are not the best, which, oh, I'm kind of a little disappointed sometimes, but I think it's important to kind of do. Again, kind of like with my wired collection that I just mentioned a little bit before, kind of a similar thing, but in this case, we captured the trees as well, which is, yeah, maybe I'll have a different series for trees. Now, and in the urban landscape, right? In the urban landscape, so very similar to with the wires. Of course, there are wires here, but definitely they're not the focal uh, point. They're not the main subject of this image anyway. But in a similar way, right, in the urban landscape with in the city, so I'm still keeping like the buildings and different things going on. Of course, you can see the wires, but the main point is, capturing this tree. And I think I did it nicely. But again, I need your critiques. I need your thoughts and comments. So please let me know what you think about the image. I shot at f9, aperture f9, 1/60th of a second shutter speed, and ISO 400. Again with the Canon 60 Mark II and 35 millimeter. So, okay, this image as well. Okay, actually, this is the woman that was working on the boxes. This is the same scene. I'm just on the other side of and I just photographed the woman here standing at the can. I think she was talking to the woman that was working with the boxes. And of course, we have another worker that, not a worker, another neighbor who was walking through the scene as well. Again, I like the image, and I'm not sure if this is the image that I'm going to publish or not, but definitely I thought it was worthy to editing. Okay, so that is the end of today's little video. I would love your thoughts, your opinions on the images. What was your favorite image? If you let me know in the comments what image you liked the most and why you liked it, that would mean so much to me. And of course, I've done a lot of reviews on your images and talked about things that I think that can improve if you work on a little bit. So feel free if you have some ideas, if you have some thoughts on something that I could have improved on or something that my image lacked, feel free to let me know as well. And I can also learn from your thoughts and your comments. So definitely let me know. And I look forward to your submissions, the images that you've taken lately. Go ahead, submit them to me, get in contact through YouTube or through Messenger, or directly email me or contact me through my website. Any of those ways is fine. Just you can share with me your recent photography, and I'll feature them in our upcoming videos tomorrow and during the rest of the week. So I look forward to that, and I'll see you next time.